Once the first closing is complete, usually, a capital call should be prepared to finance the operating expenses and establishment cost and some management fees. In some cases, there are some defined investment projects for which a capital from the investors should be drawn. In this case, profiles of the investments should be created for the defined investments. But let's take a simple scenario where the fund will call money from the investors to cover the setup costs, operating expenses, and management fees only. First, you have to go to a Create New Notice from the Notices menu. The preparation of the capital call notices is accomplished on the platform over 3 steps. In the first step, you will have to select the unit from which you are going to call the capital, set the date of the notice, and specify the sections that you would like to add in the notice form. It's important to note that the platform supports multipurpose notices, so if the fund would like to make capital calls, distributions, and return of capital at the same time, this could be handled in the same process.
The second step of creating capital call notice is to type the title, the subject, and the body of the notice. Some information in the notice will be embedded in the final notices by the platform automatically or using the fund profile that was created during the fund setup process. The notices are produced in a fixed template and format. However, if you have especially requirements for the capital or distribution notices, our team can help you customize the layout, formatting, and the information that you would like include to the investors in the notice. In this step, you will have to also mention the purpose of the capital call. For example, you add a line for the operating expenses, the management fees, and establishment cost. Depending on the setup of your fund, the system can calculate the management fees, so you can check the video that illustrate how you can parameter the fund to learn more about the different alternatives available in the system. Once you are done with this tip, you can click Create. The notice would be recorded and appear in the Notices Management section that you can find in the Notices list. Completing this step means that you have input the information required for the notice at the fund level as whole. If you made a mistake while inputting the information about the notice, you can click Edit in order to update the information or maybe add more lines in the notice.
The last step is to allocate capital call to the investors. You have to click Allocate to Investors, so the system will do the allocation pro rata between the investors as per their commitments. You can view the information of the notice from Fund Notices in the Notices list. You can check the allocation of the figures between the investors and the information about the capital drawn and undrawn before and after the current notice from the Notices Details section under the Notices drop-down list. The details can be exported into Excel PDF as well. If you would like to change the allocation of specific line between the investors, you can click Edit and make the changes to the allocation between the investors for a specific purpose.
You can visualize the notices and see the allocation and details per investor for every notice from the Investor Notices in the Notices menu. Once you complete the review, you can then generate the notices in PDF format. Depending on the setup of your fund, a schedule with the allocation of the amounts between the investors can be annexed to the notices in PDF. Or they could be signed using the embedded signatures of the authorized signatories of the fund. For more details, you can check again the video about the parameters of the fund. Now, once you check the notices and everything looks good, you can click Generate PDF files. It's important to mention that regardless of the number of the notices that will be produced, the performance of the system will be way more powerful than the production of the notices manually by the fund administrator. Not to mention the accuracy and the quality of the notices. The notices can be reviewed before they are approved. And once they are reviewed and approved by the client or the managers, a user other than who created them can approve them. The notices by default are not shown on the investors' accounts unless you click Show to Investors to control what the investors can view on their account. The process of producing the notices can be managed in a workflow that connects all the parties involved if you subscribe to the Digital Business Management module. Further, if you're using the Documents Management module, the system will generate automatically documents package to easily manage all the notices together. Finally, the notice can be assigned to a specific corporate event to be dispatched automatically to the relevant team and added to the supporting documents for the meeting where the notices will be approved.